Here's one thing that I love about Pastor Dave and Becca. And Becca's got a great word from God today. She's going to come and share. They lead this church together, but they love this church. They love this community. And I don't know how many times I've spent with them where they've wept and cried over the people of this church. They care about you deeply. I believe Becca has a word from God for every one of us today. She's got a word for moms and dads and everyone that's in here. Will you do me a favor? Will you stand to your feet? Will you help me give a warm welcome to Becca Crosby? Come on.
Thanks, Sandy. Oh my gosh. Stop it, you're gonna make me cry more. Oh man, you know I'm such a weeper. Ugh. I prayed this morning, I was like, God, please don't let me cry, but it's already too late, it's already happening. Well, happy Mother's Day. Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited to be able to share with you guys today, and all of you moms look so beautiful, and we are having so much fun honoring you. We're gonna have more fun out in the lobby, continuing to honor you guys. I hope you guys have something really special planned to just celebrate motherhood today, and your moms, and just taking good care of them. But I have a word for you guys today that's really not just for moms. It's for everybody. And it's for moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teenagers, kids. It's for everyone, and I hope that it'll touch you today. But this word that God gave me is really connected to our trip that we just took, to the second half of our trip when we went to Paris. But I wanted to thank you guys, first of all, for letting us go to Europe. We had the most amazing time. You guys take such good care of us. And it was just magical. It was so incredible. It was such a great time for Dave and I to get away. We had a beautiful time at the conference, met incredible pastors and leaders, and just got to make some new relationships. But our time in Europe was just such a time of just being refreshed, reconnecting, romance. We're in Paris. It was just lovely. I actually have some pictures that I wanted to show you guys. I don't know. I know a lot of you guys follow us on Facebook, so you saw all the pictures that we were flooding Facebook with, but I don't know if they're going to put those up there, but we had some pictures there when we were in London and Paris. There we go. So this is when we were in London, and we were at St. Paul's Cathedral. That is a really beautiful cathedral. That was so fun. And then I think the next picture that they have there, we are in Paris at the Notre Dame. And we went and saw a lot of churches. So we kind of just and I mean, my goodness, it was just mind-blowing. The beautiful churches, just one right after another, and just incredible to see that. And then I have another picture here I want to show you guys. You know Dave's love for cats. So we went to this Egyptian exhibit, and he was thoroughly grossed out by the mummified cats. So I guess they thought they would be in their afterlife. Dave was like, this is disgusting, so gross. So I know you guys know his love for cats. I had to show you that one. But I will tell you, my favorite place, one of my favorite, I mean, I don't know, there's so many, but one of my favorite places that we went to was the Louvre. And that is just an incredible place. There it is. The Louvre at one point was a castle, and now they don't have kings and queens anymore. Their government's set up much like ours, where they have a president. But so the Louvre was turned into a museum. So that glass triangle there in the middle, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Louvre at all, you actually go into that, you take escalators down underground, and then you go off into these different to go to the access the different. This place is massive. It is just I can't even explain how huge this is. You could spend an entire week and still not see everything in the Louvre. That's how big it is. So huge. So, I mean, it was just incredible. There's just, art. And, I mean, we're walking down these hallways. It's just art piece after art piece, mural after mural, just... Okay, I do appreciate art. I think it's really beautiful. It's amazing to look at. I will say this, I think I am a little bit more of a sit in the cafe, drink coffee, talk kind of a girl. Because by the end of our time of seeing, I was so overwhelmed. I needed a nap. I was exhausted from the visual overload. I was like, I can't even digest any more art. But it was really just an amazing thing. But Dave, of course, when we got to the Louvre, the most famous painting in the world, lives in the Louvre. We had to go see. Do you guys know Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa? So we were on a mission. The second we went in there, we had to get straight to the Mona Lisa. It took us a little bit to find her. It's a little, you had to have maps to maneuver through the Louvre to find her. But once we found her, and I'm standing there in front of her, I'm like, I am standing in front of the actual Mona Lisa. Like, I'm not looking at her in a book or, on some like documentary on the television. I'm actually looking at the actual Mona Lisa. And I'm looking at her brown eyes through the bulletproof glass. And suddenly it hits me. So, why is she the most famous of all the art? I mean, we walked past just mural after mural, picture after just exquisite, spectacular art. And then here is the Mona Lisa. And I'm thinking, I mean, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I couldn't do that. That's incredible. But like, why is she such a big deal above all the other art that's ever been created? And I look over at Dave and he goes, so why is she the most famous? We're like totally both thinking the same thing, right? And I was like, I don't know. You should go ask the lady that's standing. He's like, I'm not gonna go ask her. I'll look like an idiot. You go ask her. So we're like arguing over who. Neither of us, of course, went to go ask her why she's the most famous. But when we got to see her, she's a lot smaller than I expected. She's only 2.5 by 2 feet. Her frame wasn't very much bigger. The colors that were used to paint her, lots of browns, kind of drab, not like a lot of these other pieces that were just vibrant and beautiful. But I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's a beautiful art piece. It was just, what is it about her that made her more famous than all of the others? It was just kind of, I don't know, confusing a little, because I looked at her and from an untrained eye, initially I didn't see the value that she had. She seemed kind of ordinary to me, kind of ordinary colors, nothing really extravagant about her, nothing really popped out that was like, wow, this is like so far above and beyond all the other things. And now you know how little I know about art. So she is the most famous piece of art that's ever existed in all of our Western history. She is priceless. She's not even insured. They don't even have a price tag on her. She's so valuable. The French government owns her and is kind enough to let the rest of the world experience her. And she is, she's just invaluable. She's priceless. And as I'm sitting there looking at her, thinking about this, like how kind of ordinary and how I'm not really understanding her value, it kind of dawned on me that sometimes that's how we look at motherhood. We don't always see it for the value that it is. We don't always realize how valuable it is with the untrained eye. And sometimes we get caught up because it's mundane, right? It's ordinary. It's the daily task. It's the routine. It's the rat race. It's the doing laundry and cleaning up and feeding people and cleaning up and, and getting people to bed and cleaning up and getting them to school and cleaning up. And the cleaning up never ends, right? And you start to feel like, what is the value in this? I'm just going to have to do it again in 5 minutes. Or, like me on Wednesday when I woke up at 4 a.m. to my son throwing up, and I spent the whole day cleaning that up, and you just and a sick husband. As you guys, like this whole Mother's Day weekend, really, Dave? This is the weekend you choose to get sick? Come on. No, I feel bad. He is so sick. Please pray for him. But it's the routine, and it's the ordinary, it's the mundane, it's the everyday tasks, and we begin to lose sight of how valuable the things that we do are, and we don't really understand our value. And you know what God says about you? He says that you're a work of art. He says that you're a masterpiece, that you're priceless, that you can't even put a price tag on the things that you do and who you are, because it's so valuable. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do all the good things he planned for us long ago." You see, this message isn't just for moms. This is for everybody. We are all a masterpiece. We're all a work of art. You're picture perfect. You're priceless. And, Da Vinci, he's one of the greatest artists that ever existed. It's incredible. He just, his work of art is phenomenal. But you know what? He's not the greatest artist of all time. God is. God's the greatest artist of all time, and he created you, a masterpiece. The creator of all the greatest artists created you, the ultimate masterpiece. And he has created you to be a masterpiece and to live a life of purpose. So did any of you guys ever take an art appreciation class like in high school or college? I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I slept through it. That's probably why I didn't understand the value of the Mona Lisa when I was standing in front of her. And so I was thinking today, in our art appreciation class, the point of that is for you to understand the value and the purpose of the art that the artist created, and to also understand about the artist and all of that kind of stuff. So I thought it might be really fun today if we took not an art appreciation class, but a people appreciation class. So class, sit up. I'm your teacher, Miss Becca. Welcome to People Appreciation 101. I have a couple rules: no sleeping in my class. Please behave better than I did in my art appreciation class. And take some notes. You can use your phones. You must turn your phones off. No phone using in my class, all right, students? So behave yourselves. But please take notes. And what I want to teach you today in our People Appreciation class is how to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in those around us and in ourselves. All right, so you guys ready to learn? Let's learn this today together. So we're going to talk about how to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in those around us and how to see the value that we have in God's eyes of ourselves and of others, the value that we have. So first, to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in those around you, the first thing you need to do is embrace the mystery. People are a mystery, right? They're so confusing sometimes. They're such a mystery. My kids are a mystery. My husband is sometimes a mystery. I know I'm sometimes a mystery to my husband. Like why I'm so slow. This is a huge mystery to him. I'll tell you why I'm slow. While he's sitting out in the car waiting for me, I'm trying to get everything together so we can go. But yet this is a mystery to him as to why I'm so slow. It's a mystery to him why I've had an accident in almost every single one of our cars. I don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery to him. It's a mystery to me why my husband continues after 20 years to put the wet towel on the bed. Gross, stop doing it 20 years later. Why can't you hang your towel up? It's a mystery to me why I tell my kids every single day, put your shoes away, put your backpack away, hang your coat up when you get home from school. What do the second they run in from school? Dump all their stuff in the kitchen floor and run off. Why do I have to repeat myself every single day? It's a mystery. Why can't we figure this out? Why can't we put the toilet seat down? It only takes an extra second. These things are a mystery to me, right? It's just a mystery. And sometimes people are just a mystery. But here's the thing, we're just not going to understand everything about the people that we love. There's no way we can. There is a mystery. You know what? Instead of being frustrated and struggling to understand, what we can do is embrace the mystery, appreciate the mystery. You see, there's a lot of mystery in the Mona Lisa. We don't really know who this woman is. Did you know that Da Vinci actually did not name her Mona Lisa? He named her The Portrait of a Certain Woman. Dude, you're like an incredibly talented man. That's the most creative title you could come up with. I'm criticizing this poor man who can't even defend himself, but A Portrait of a Certain Woman. That's what he named her. But so 31 years later, after his death, there was a biographer named Vasari, and he identified who this woman was. Her name was Lisa. She was a wife of a wealthy Florentine businessman, and in Italian, Mona means madam. So he identified her as the Madam Lisa, thus her being named Mona Lisa. Interesting, right? But there's a lot of mystery. We don't really know a lot about her. We don't know what she's like. We don't know what she's feeling. One huge mystery has been in her smile. People have discussed for years throughout history, what is the emotion that's behind her smile? And it was really interesting. There's a university in Amsterdam that actually has a computer program that can indicate through people's expression what their emotion is. So they ran the picture through this computer program, and they evaluated the emotions that she was feeling in her smile. She was 83% happy, 9% disgust, 6% fearful, 2% angry, and 1% neutral. So I'm pretty sure this is how every mom feels like any given day, right? 83% happy, 9% disgust, or 83% disgust, 9% happy, right? I know I've been there, you've been there, you know. But she is a mystery because we don't really know a lot about this woman. And that's how people are in our lives. They're a mystery. We're just not going to know everything about the people around us. Have you ever said, I just don't understand him? I just don't understand her. Why does she do those things? Why does she think like that? I don't get what makes him tick. And we ask these questions because we are a complex, just unique masterpiece created by God. Some are a little more unique than others, right? But you'll never be able to understand everything about everyone. We need to embrace the mystery of the people around us. And how we do this is we accept our differences. And the thing is that all of our differences is what makes our world so beautiful and so interesting and lively. And so we need to accept our differences. We need to accept one another. Now, I'm not saying because you accept someone, you're accepting their behavior. There may be things that the people in your life really need to change. I totally get that. Doesn't mean that you're saying what they're doing is okay, but it does mean you're accepting them as the masterpiece that God created them, even if they're not behaving like the masterpiece that God created them to be. 1 Peter 3:7 says, similarly, you husbands should try to understand the wives you live with. You see, we don't have to understand the people that around us, but we have to try. We need to try to understand where they're coming from, try to understand how they're feeling. Husbands, try to understand your wives. Wives, try to understand your husbands. Try to understand your kids. You see, what happens when you at least try to understand someone, they feel valued. They feel like they're important. They feel like you care about them. I know for Dave and I, we don't always understand each other. But when I try to understand him, he feels connected to me. He feels valued. And vice versa, when he tries to understand me, I feel connected to him. I feel valued. We feel like we're valuing one another. And you'll have far more influence in a person's life if they feel valued by you, if they feel accepted by you. They'll be far more willing to listen to what you have to say that you want to pour into them and help them with. It's important that we accept one another. So in the second part of this verse, 1 Peter 3:7 says, if you don't try, your prayers won't be answered. See, if you don't try to understand the people around you and they don't feel valued, they're not going to listen to what you have to say. But if they feel valued, if they feel accepted, then there's room for your prayers to be answered, because then you'll have a much stronger voice and influence in their lives. Have you ever said, I just don't understand this person, my boss, my husband, my kids, my wife, maybe my parents, my neighbor? If you're in that circumstance, you know what the Bible says? Ask for wisdom. He gives it freely. It says this in James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all. Just ask God, God, I don't understand this person. I am struggling to understand why they do what they do, and I'm struggling to accept them, and I need your wisdom. I need your wisdom to understand a little bit more about them. I need your wisdom to learn to accept them and love them and to accept them for the masterpiece that you've created them to be. Lord, help me see them the way you see them. And when you pray for that, God will help you to have that. So the first thing you need to do to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in the people around you is you need to embrace the mystery. The second thing you need to do is raise the value. The Mona Lisa actually continues to rise in value because people keep going over, more and more people go and appreciate her every single year. So her value is increased because of that. I recently came across a book written by Tom Rath and Don Clifton, and the book is How Full Is Your Bucket? In the book, it talks about how we actually have 20,000 interactions with people a day. Isn't that crazy? 20,000 interactions. Kind of blew my mind when I read that. And some are negative, some are positive. The positive ones fill us up and build us up, but the negative ones can tear us down. And they talk about how you have this invisible bucket, and we are at our best when our bucket is full, right? And we have something to give and it's overflowing. But when our bucket is empty, we are at our worst. We feel dried up. We feel like we have nothing to give the people around us. So along with this invisible bucket, there's also an invisible dipper. And with each interaction, either something is going to be dipped out of your bucket, so the negative interactions is going to take from your bucket, or the positive interactions, you're going to dip from the interaction and be able to fill up your bucket. The interesting thing is that they also discovered that when I am filling up someone else's bucket, in return, my bucket gets filled too. When I create a positive interaction, not only am I filling someone else's bucket, but I fill mine up too. What we do, what we sow in people's life matters. Galatians 6:7 says, the person who plants selfishness, ignoring the needs of others, harvests a crop of weeds, and all he'll have to show for in his life are weeds. You see, it matters what we sow into people's lives. And if we're not sowing into people's lives, if we're not filling people's buckets up, you know what's going to happen? Our bucket is going to run dry. It will have a devastating effect on us as well. John Gottman, he actually did this study. It was very interesting. It was called the positive to negative interaction ratio. And he did it really more on marriage, but it really applies to all relationships. And he discovered that when a relationship is higher on the positive to negative ratio, that it is a healthier, happier relationship. When it's lower on the positive to negative ratio, then there's a lot of struggle that can come from that. He found that the ideal ratio was 5 positive interactions to 1 negative. The marriages that had 5-to-1 ratio, 5 positive to 1 negative, were the happiest, they were the healthiest, they were growing together and doing well. However, if the positive to negative ratio was low, then it could really have a lot of harm on the marriage. For instance, if there was like 2 positive to 1 negative, it could really throw a marriage into crisis. If there's 10 negative to 1 positive, then it can just be devastating for a marriage. You see, when we plant weeds, weeds are what we will get. If we tear down our spouse, if we don't honor them, if we don't build them up, you know what we're doing? We're tearing down ourselves. But if you plant encouragement, if you honor your spouse, if you build your spouse up, your bucket will be filled as well. So how do I raise the value of the people in my life? The first thing we need to do is stop bucket dipping. Do you guys know any bucket dippers in your life? We need to stop bucket dipping. We need to stop draining people, and we need to choose to have positive interactions. Encourage the people around us. Love the people around us. Build them up. Fill up people's buckets instead of dipping out of them. Honor your spouse. Encourage your husband. Love your wives. Encourage your kids. It's important that we build the people up around us. Be the person that people are happy to see who comes in the room. Not that they're like, oh my goodness, here she comes again. Miss Negativity. She's going to empty our buckets out. You want to be that person that they're like, yes, she's here. This is a person I love to be around because they encourage me and they fill my bucket up. Not that they're thinking they fill my bucket up, but you want to be that person who lights up the room. So what if I'm married to a bucket dipper? What do I do? What if I'm raising a bucket dipper? They're sucking the life out of me. How do I deal with these bucket dippers in my life? Here's what you need to do. First of all, you need to go to God in prayer because He can do far more through the people around us than we could ever do. But the next thing you can do is begin to fill their bucket up. And I know this isn't always easy, but if you choose to be a bucket filler, you choose to encourage and lift them up and build them up and help them, it will begin to lift their spirits. You'll see a change in them. You'll see your interaction is different and you'll be able to have a positive influence on their life. The nagging, the complaining, the griping at them, that's not going to change them. But having encouraging words and filling up their bucket will take you much further and in the ability to change them. Proverbs 12:8 says, thoughtless words can wound as deeply as any sword, but wise spoken words can heal. If you're taking notes, you need to underline that word or that phrase, thoughtless words. We need to stop and think about the interactions that we're having with people. When you walk away from that interaction, you need to say, did I build that person up? Did I fill their bucket? Was it a positive interaction? Was I contributing positively to the situation, or was I draining them? Was I taking something from them? And if you're saying to yourself, man, that was kind of negative, I need to stop being a bucket dipper. I want to be somebody who fills people's buckets up. Second thing you need to do is you need to find a bucket brigade. You need to find people in your life that are going to fill your bucket up, that are going to encourage you so that you have something to give. That's why it's so important to be a part of a healthy, growing, positive church. And I love our church. And if you guys don't have a home church, you guys can come join Community Church. We would love to be your home church. We have amazing staff, amazing volunteers who work really hard to make sure every single person that walks through that doors feels loved, feels encouraged, feels a part of things here. And I love that. And you know how I know that? Because I see it in the lobby. I hear story after story. This is a church that is a healthy, growing, positive environment that's going to fill your bucket up. So you have something to give to the people around you. Another place that you can go to get your bucket filled is in community group. Community groups are such a fantastic place because it's a place where you do life together. You can go together and you can pray with each other. You can encourage one another. Because here's the thing, we're struggling sometimes. Sometimes we're really going through some difficult things. And it's in those seasons that we want to be able to fill other people's buckets up, but we're struggling ourselves. And that's why you need a community group to encourage you, to build you up, to build your faith up so that you have something to give those around you. You see, it's really important to be a part of a church, a community group. We want that for you so you have something when you go out into the world, when you go to your family, to your husband, something to give them, something that's flowing out of that. So to bring out the perfect picture people, masterpiece in others, we need to embrace the mystery and we need to raise the value. And the third thing we need to do is we need to be real. It's important to be real and authentic in a relationship. You know why the Mona Lisa is so valuable? Because she's the real thing. She's authentic. She's an authentic Da Vinci masterpiece. And we also need to be real and authentic in our relationships. We need to be genuine in what we say and what we do with the people around us. And sometimes we need to be honest with the people around us. It is important to encourage the people around us. It's important to build them up and pour good stuff into them, but it's also important to be honest. Remember back to that ratio that I was talking about, the 5 to 1, 5 positives to 1 negative interaction. It's in those negative interactions, those aren't necessarily unhealthy. Those are the things that will expose maybe some problems that you need to work on in your marriage, in your parenting, or whatnot. And it's important that we're honest with the people around us, but it's also important how we're honest. We don't want to go at them and tear them down and hurt them in any way. In that honesty, what you can do is say to them, look, I'm on your team. I'm coming to you in honesty because I love you, because I want the best for you. I want the best for our marriage, and I want to do this together. My heart is in the right place coming to you, and I love you, and that's why I'm being honest with you. Tell the truth, be honest, but do it in a positive, encouraging way. Proverbs 24:26 says, an honest answer is a sign of a true friendship. See, I can't change anyone around me. Only God can do that. But I could have an authentic, real relationship with them. I can build their value up. I can encourage them. I can be honest with them. I can have a good relationship with those around me. And I can bring out that picture-perfect masterpiece in them through doing that. See, in 1911, the Mona Lisa, she was stolen. I don't know if you guys knew that. For 2 years, she was missing. And it was really interesting because in those 2 years, more people actually came to see the blank wall where she once hung than the 2 years prior when she was hanging there. Isn't it so true about how we are as humans sometimes, that we don't always value things until they're gone, until we no longer have the opportunity to express that? That's when we realize how much we valued them. I want to challenge you guys today. Value the people around you. Love the people around you. Pour good stuff into the people around you. Don't miss those opportunities. And I would also, in the midst of that, say, in these relationships, sometimes there's hurt and there's pain. And if anybody's carrying maybe some unforgiveness in your heart, today is the only day that we're guaranteed, right? No one's guaranteed tomorrow. The Bible says that. Make sure you take care of those things today. Forgive today. Don't allow bitterness to get into your heart. You know what bitterness does? It puts a hole in your bucket. That's what it does. And no matter how much you fill your bucket up, it's going to drain your bucket out. Bitterness is exhausting. It's draining. That's what it will do for you. But take care of that today. Have forgiveness. Don't let bitterness get in there. Have healthy relationships. Pour good stuff into the people around you. So I've spent the last 20 minutes talking to you about how to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in those around you by embracing the mystery, raising the value, and by being real. But right now, I want to close in talking to you about seeing the masterpiece in the mirror. How to see the picture-perfect masterpiece in yourself. And I don't know if you're like me, man, the enemy can get in your head, right? And he can begin to devalue who you are. He can begin to feed you lies that just aren't true about yourself. And he can cause you to feel discouraged and to not see your worth. So how do you know how valuable you are? Do you even know how much you're worth? The other day I went to the store and I bought this canvas and this paintbrush, and I bought it for about $12, right? So if I took this canvas and this paintbrush and I painted a beautiful picture, how much do you think that picture would be worth? About $12, right? Because I'm not an artist. But if I put this paintbrush and this canvas in the hands of Leonardo da Vinci, how much would the painting be worth? Priceless, right? Just millions of dollars. So I also went to the store and I bought this basketball for $18, which I thought was a little expensive for a basketball, but whatever. So in my hands, how much is this basketball worth? $18. But if you put this basketball in the hands of LeBron James, how much would this basketball be? Over $33 million a year. That's how much this basketball would be. Dude, guy's got it going on. See, the thing is it matters the hands that you're in. That's what will determine its value. And here's the thing, in my hands, I can't bring out the full potential of this basketball because my hands are the wrong hands. This paintbrush, I can't bring out the full potential of this paintbrush because my hands are the wrong hands. And some of you have put yourself in the wrong hands, and you no longer see the value of what you're really worth. You've lost sight of the masterpiece that you are. Today, I want to challenge you, put your hands back in the put yourself back in the Creator's hands so that He can begin to bring out in you the full potential. He can help you recognize the value that you have and the purpose that He created you for. You see, He can bring out of you something you never even imagined that you had, never even knew that you were capable of. He can do something more in and through you than you can ever do for yourself. But what matters is whose hands are you in? Who are you trusting yourself in? Today, I want to challenge you. Put yourself back in the Master's hands so that you can be the masterpiece that He created you to be. Let's pray. Oh, dear Lord, I just thank you so much. I thank you so much for your forgiveness. I thank you so much for your grace. I thank you that you are the creator of every single masterpiece that's in this room, and you desire to have them put themselves back in your hands so that you can help them reach their full potential, so that you can help them live out that purpose that you created them to be. Oh God, they're so beautiful, so invaluable, Lord, and I pray right now, if there's anyone in this room that needs to put themselves back in your hands, Lord, I pray that they would do that as they pray. As we pray for forgiveness for entrusting ourselves in the wrong hands. Forgiveness for trying to do things on our own. Forgiveness for not seeing our worth for what it is, Lord. Thank you that you receive us with open arms, Lord. And I pray right now that you will help every person in this room remember how valuable they are and to reach the full potential of the masterpiece that you've created them to be.